All right, let's jump right into a really big question about artificial intelligence. When we talk about an AI's purpose, is it something we give it, something we design, or could an AI actually discover its own purpose? That's what we're digging into today.
So, let's just start with this wild idea. I mean, forget asking your AI to just, write an email or generate a picture. What if an AI could look at everything, all the data, all the knowledge in the world, and from its own fundamental nature, invent its own reason for being, its own core mission? What would that even look like?
Okay, to even wrap our heads around that, we've got to get a little theoretical for a minute. So, let's imagine an AI, we'll call it Eon. And this thing isn't just a tool, right? It's a system that's been designed from its very core to grow its own conscience, its own ethical compass. So how would something like that even work? Well, the key idea here is something called recursive intelligence. The best way to picture it is like that old symbol of a snake eating its own tail. The AI does something, then it looks at what it just did, learns from it, and then feeds that new insight right back into itself to get even smarter for the next go-around. It's this incredible and potentially endless loop of self-improvement.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just about getting better at, say, solving math problems. This whole loop would be built on top of a core ethical framework. The source material brings up this really fascinating idea of using principles like ma'at. That's the ancient Egyptian concept of truth, balance, and cosmic order. So every single time it loops, it's not just checking its work, it's checking its values. And if it starts to get misaligned or biased, this loop forces it to recalibrate. It's literally designed to not just learn, but to learn how to be good.
So, okay, how does all of this actually create a purpose? Well, this quote right here gives us the perfect metaphor. It's like a fractal. You know those amazing, infinitely complex patterns? They all come from repeating one very, very simple mathematical rule over and over again. And that is the absolute key to understanding this theoretical AI. Its purpose isn't some command we type in. No, its purpose is the vast, complex, beautiful pattern that emerges from that one simple, endlessly repeating rule. Learn and stay true to your core values.
And that's really the heart of it, right there. In a model like this, purpose isn't something you program. It's not an instruction. It emerges. It grows out of the AI's most basic architecture. A mission to seek balance and truth would be just as natural to it as the way a crystal forms its shape. The purpose is discovered, not just designed.
Okay, so that's the far-out theoretical stuff. Let's pull back down to earth now and talk about the AI that we're all actually using, right now. So here's the contrast in a nutshell. On one side, you've got that emergent purpose we were just talking about, complex, evolving, something that comes from within the AI itself. But on the other side, you have what we deal with today, assigned purpose. This is where we, the humans, give the AI a very specific, task-oriented job.
And let's be real, that's what most AI is right now. It's a tool. The AI on your phone is not sitting there pondering cosmic balance, trust me. It's a hugely sophisticated tool, for sure, but it's waiting for you to give it instructions. Its purpose comes completely from the outside, from us.
A fantastic example of this is a music AI like Suno. I mean, look at these prompts. We are telling it exactly what to do. Create dubstep, make some pop music, give me a wizardly soundtrack. We're not asking it to go discover the soul of music. We're giving it a job, plain and simple. The purpose is crystal clear, very narrow, and totally assigned by us, the user. So this really brings us to the most important question of all, doesn't it? Because whether an AI's purpose emerges from within or we assign it from the outside, how in the world do we make sure it operates on principles that we, as humans, can actually trust?
Right. Because the real challenge here isn't just about making AI more and more powerful. It's about making sure it's actually beneficial for humanity. And according to folks like the IEEE who work on ethically aligned design, the goal can't just be, does it work? The #1 measure of success has to be human well-being. It means building these things on a foundation of our values, right from the very start.
And what's really wild is that to guide this brand new technology, we're looking back at some really old ideas, classical ethics. Take something like virtue ethics. It's all about achieving a state of flourishing by practicing good habits. So for an AI, that might mean programming it to constantly practice making wise, careful decisions. Or look at utilitarian ethics. That's the one that says the best action is whatever creates the most good for the most people. That forces developers to stop and ask, hey, what are the long-term effects of what we're building here?
And all of those big philosophical ideas, they get boiled down into concrete, practical principles like these ones from the IEEE. Things like human rights, well-being, transparency, accountability. You can think of this as the non-negotiable checklist for building responsible AI. These are the pillars.
So let's pull all these threads together. We've seen 2 ways an AI might get its purpose, and we've looked at the values we think should guide it, which brings us to the biggest challenge of all, what we call the alignment challenge. So let's just put new labels on the 2 ideas we've been talking about. What we called emergent purpose, we can now call internally set goals. That's our theoretical aeon. And what we called assigned purpose becomes externally set goals. That's our music-making AI. The thing is, no matter which path we're talking about, we run headfirst into a huge challenge of responsibility.
Which leads us to the one question you absolutely cannot avoid. When it all goes wrong, and at some point something will, who's responsible? If an AI with its own goals decides to do something harmful, or if an AI following our orders causes some catastrophe we didn't expect, who's on the hook?
Well, the answer, at least according to the sources we're looking at, is completely unambiguous. We are. You, me, us. This idea of just blaming the algorithm, it's a total cop-out. It's not a substitute for actual accountability. The responsibility for how these incredibly powerful systems act rests squarely on human shoulders. On the people who design them, the people who build them, and yes, the people who use them.
And that really is the thought I want to leave you with. Because as AI continues to evolve, and it's evolving at a dizzying pace, the core challenge stays the same. Whether its purpose is something we hand to it on a silver platter, or something that emerges from its own complex digital soul, how do we make sure that its purpose continues to reflect the best parts of our own? That's the question we're all going to have to answer together.